Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankum. Today we're going to be talking about Robert De Niro movies. I've got a great panel here. Over to that side, I've got Dan. Dan, how's it going?
I am doing great. I was so happy Malcolm chose to do my favorite actor of all time, Robert De Niro, for this episode of Rankum. So hopefully we have a great, lively, and entertaining discussion with these gentlemen. And I'm just so happy to be here.
And moving along, I've got Chad. Chad, how's it going?
It's going really well. I wasn't initially planning to be on this episode, but I've been watching through a lot of older Rankums, and I'm really excited. I watched like 3.5 movies of Robert De Niro's catalog for this, so we'll see. Hopefully, I won't be like from the Michael Keaton episode, and I've actually seen a lot of movies.
And going along, we've got Stephen. Stephen, how's it going?
It's going well. I wanted to watch more than I was able to because of work, but I was able to watch at least one huge gap before this.
And last but not least, it's his first time on Rankum. We've got Jonathan. Jonathan, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty well, and I just couldn't pass up the opportunity discussing one of my favorite actors of all time, Mr. De Niro. And we're going to have some fun, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, and how the show works is we're going to go around the panel and go nominate a movie that they think belongs on a top 12 of the Niro list. But yeah, if they get the majority yes votes, it makes the list. But yeah, I'm going to start with Dan. Dan, what's your first nomination?
Well, if anybody that knows me, they know, Robert De Niro is my favorite actor, and my favorite Robert De Niro movie is a movie that reminds me of my father, and that's not a good thing. It's probably a bad thing, but it's Jake LaMotta from Raging Bull, this angry man who yells at his wife, who beats up his brother, and he takes his persona from the ring, and it's in his real life. He's literally a raging bull in real life, and then he goes into the ring and he just absolutely destroys people. And a great scene towards the end of the movie where he has fought in Sugar Ray Robinson 6 times, and at the end he goes, "You never got me down, Ray. You never got me down." And then there's a framing sequence that really shows what a pathetic man Jake LaMotta really is. Jake LaMotta, Raging Bull.
Chad, what do you say about Raging Bull?
Yeah, like I've seen this a while ago. I meant to rewatch this one because I wanted it to have it fresh in my mind. I don't remember a ton of about it, but I remember it being kind of like a really good character study, like in the line of like things like Citizen Kane and stuff like that. So watching that movie, I remember really liking it and the performances of Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci. So, and I think the whole movie's in black and white. Yeah, so and that's a really cool style. And I think it's one of Scorsese's best. So, yeah, yes, for sure.
Stephen, what do you say about Raging Bull?
This is one I meant to rewatch for tonight, but unfortunately I just didn't have time. But from what I remember, it's not on my personal top 12. Not because I don't think it's a good movie. It's just not one of a movie. It's not just one of his movies that I go back to. I don't think I don't think it has a high rewatchable factor. But you can't not have it on a top 12 Robert De Niro movies. So I'm going to say yes because it is great and he's great in it.
Jonathan, what would you have said about Raging Bull?
I'll save it. I mean, it's a masterpiece. It's a 100% yes for me. It's a masterpiece in directing, storytelling, acting. De Niro is probably not just one of his best performances, but one of the best performances in cinema. I mean, the way he portrays that monster inside and outside the ring. I mean, you could feel the tension within the households when he when Dan said he fights with his brother and also his wife. Yeah, it's an excellent movie. It's definitely one of Scorsese's best. Definitely one of De Niro's best. So yes.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one of the major ones of his I've not seen yet. I tried to find it to watch for this because Kirk told me that I needed to see it, but I just hadn't got around to it because it's really not streaming anywhere in New Zealand. So, but it makes this regardless. And we move on to Chad. What is your first nomination?
All right. I actually just got done watching this one, and I think it's a pretty good one to recommend and submit hopefully for the list. It's not one that Robert De Niro is in the entire runtime of the movie, but he's in it quite a bit. He actually plays, I guess, the villain of this movie. It's the Untouchables. He plays Al Capone in this movie, and he's like really good in it. He's a really unlikable guy. I will say like some of the heroes protagonists aren't as likable either, but I think that's good for the movie as far as everybody's trying to like do what they think is right, and it's just like it's a really good character study in that I feel like, and I it's just like the scenes that Robert De Niro's in, like especially in the very beginning, when he has some of these really great lines, talking about like a kind word and a gun is better than just a kind word, stuff like that is just like classic, and I'm just like, how didn't I see this movie before? It's so great. It's also a great Sean Connery movie. Rest in peace. So yeah, The Untouchables.
Stephen, what do you say about The Untouchables?
It's definitely one of his best movies in terms of the overall movie, and it's definitely on my personal list. It's definitely a yes. If we were talking about top 12 Robert De Niro performances, I don't think it's necessarily one of his best performances, but I love the movie, so it's definitely yes.
Jonathan, what do you say about The Untouchables?
I'm on the fence, to be honest. I'll say this: like, it is a rewatchable mob movie for sure, in terms of style, in terms of execution, and how Elliot Ness, wants to go after Al Capone. I mean, he does give a good performance as Capone. It's not. I don't think it's one of his best performances, but it is a fun performance from De Niro as Capone. Like the climax in the courtroom scene, where like he says, you ain't got nothing, something regarding a badge or something like that, a gun and a badge. I mean, it makes me laugh a little bit when he's has to be held down by his associates. I'm gonna go a marginal yes on The Untouchables.
It is kind of a funny movie
at times, but because of I do like it more, but I have faults on my own regarding Costner's performance. I don't think he's that great of an Elliot Ness, but we're talking De Niro, so it is a marginal yes for me for the.
I think Connery has the best performance in that movie by
yes.
far.
Yeah, I agree. Connery, yes.
But with that, The Untouchables does make the list. This is one I actually saw for the first time, specifically for this. I would have gone yes myself. I do enjoy this movie, and I do think De Niro's performance is really great in this. Dan, what would you have said about The Untouchables?
I'll be honest. I really love him as Al Capone, and on my particular list, I had it out of my top 12. But I wasn't surprised that it came up and that somebody would have mentioned it. He does have some great lines, but this movie, Untouchables, is really Sean Connery's movie, and he won an Oscar for it. So Robert De Niro is kind of second fiddle to Elliot Ness and Sean Connery, Kevin Costner and Sean Connery. So, but I wasn't surprised it came up. So hey, no problems here that you guys voted it on.
But Stephen, we go back to you for your next nomination.
I'm going to go with Ronin, one of my favorite action spy movies, and The car chases are great. I love all the double crosses and it's just to me it's one of his more rewatchable movies that I've seen it a bunch of times and so yeah, Ronan's my first nomination.
Jonathan, what do you say about Ronan?
That's a good pick. Ronin is a yes for me. It is an underrated De Niro movie, but mostly you're in for the ride regarding the chase scenes, the action sequences, and De Niro is really cool in his movie when he talks with has chemistry with John Reno, Sean Bean, Natasha Malcahone. I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, it's a cool movie. I like it. It's directed by John Frankenheimer. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I haven't seen this. Dan, what do you say about Ronan?
I'll tell you what, everything Steven said is true. I mean, some of the best car chases in any movie ever. And Sam, De Niro's character, Sam, is really a great character. And it's, spy movies and this sort of stuff. You don't see De Niro do this sort of thing. But I'm going to actually have to say no, because I do not. I have Ronan outside of my top 12, and I don't think it's one of his best performances, even though I do love the movie and the car chases.
Which means it is all on Chad.
Yeah, that's not a good place for it to be because I haven't seen it.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna like ramp up the De Niro catalog watch now because he is a great actor. So, but sorry.
Yeah, I mean, based on like what Stephen was saying, what Jonathan said about, I am going to try and track it down to watch. But with that, we go to Jonathan for his first nomination.
Okay, so Ronan's off. So
yep.
All right then. Okay, well, as you can see from my screen here, my name is not Jonathan today. It's just I gotta have this quote because this quote is in my head a lot. Like, you never rat on your friends, and you always keep your mouth shut. It's Goodfellas. Yeah, I'm nominating Goodfellas. This is a classic. This is a classic in the mob genre in which you can rewatch easily in any part of the year, any part of the week, month, any part of the day, like in any point in the movie, because almost every scene of the movie is memorable, especially his character Jimmy Conway, in which he's a charismatic, likable gangster who sort of teaches Henry Hill, played by Ray Liotta, the ropes a little bit in the mob world in the beginning of the movie, and then they become pals. But then he's a bit ruthless when it comes to the Lufthansa heist, when he gets angry because of his buddies buying expensive gifts, But yeah, Goodfellas, 100%. That's my nomination.
Yeah, this is an easy yes. Like, I've only really seen Goodfellas once. I was going to rewatch it for this, but just didn't get around to it. But I remember I loved this movie when I watched it for the first time this year. And yeah, it's easy yes. Dan, what do you say about Goodfellas?
Yeah, I think he's fantastic as Jimmy Conway, opposite Ray Liotta and Joe Pesci and some of these guys in this movie. I think it's a phenomenal performance in a phenomenal movie. Big yes for me. Good job, Jonathan, bringing up Goodfellas.
Chad, what would you have said about Goodfellas?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing as you, Malcolm. I haven't seen it a ton, but I have seen it all the way through once, and I've seen like bits and pieces a bunch. But like this basically is one of the seminal movies, like one of Scorsese's best and one of the best in movies. So I gotta say yes to Goodfellas. It's amazing.
And Stephen, what would you have said about Goodfellas?
It's not my favorite Scorsese movie, but it's probably his best. So it would have been a yes for me too.
But it's on to me for my first one. I'm kind of torn for which way I want to go first. I'm going to try for this one. In the past 10 or so years, De Niro's career has kind of been really interesting in that he's not done a lot of good stuff, but there's been a few sort of gems that he's been in over the last few years that is really good. And one of them is The Intern. I think this
Ooh.
one is a really underrated sort of rom com that he's been in. Like his relationship he has with Anne Hathaway is just great. And even the relationship that De Niro has with the kid when he's talking to the kid. This is one I think deserves to be on this list, and I think it's one that shows a different side to De Niro because he's definitely done a lot in the mob gangster type movies, but this is a really different side of him. Dan, what do you say about The Intern?
I'll tell you what, Malcolm, I absolutely love The Intern. I love his performance in The Intern. I think it's such a different kind of performance for Robert De Niro, and it was good to see him do something different like that and still be just as good and show that in his older age he can do good roles like in The Intern, not like in War with Grandpa and Bad Grandpa and crap like that. Know that he still has that in him to give a good performance in a good movie. But I just do not have it. I have 20 movies listed on my list, and that is not one of them. And I have to say no. I'm sorry, Malcolm.
Chad, what do you say about The Intern?
Yeah, Malcolm, when you were talking about like recent De Niro, and I thought you were gonna throw Dirty Grandpa out, and I was like, you were like, I'm gonna try for this. Let's see. I secretly really love Dirty Grandpa, but anyways, I haven't seen The Intern. I haven't seen it. Sorry.
Stephen, what do you say about The
Oh,
Intern?
It's a good movie. I do agree it's underrated, but it's not. I wouldn't call it one of his best movies either. So I gotta say no.
With The Intern doesn't make the list. Jonathan, what would you have said?
It is a good movie, but man, it is a rewatchable movie too. It would be just outside my top 12, to be honest. Sorry.
It's fine. Dan, what is your next nomination?
You talking to me, Malcolm? Maybe else here. You talking about me? Are you talking to me, Malcolm? Travis Bickle, Taxi Driver. I mean, I just absolutely love this character. He's just such a crazy guy. And, you know, the ending of that movie is such a crazy scene. I mean, Harvey Keitel, Jodie Foster, even Martin Scorsese's got a character where he's spying on a guy in a window in the cab. I mean, just Taxi Driver. Travis Bickle is one of my all-time favorite characters in movie history. So I got to do Taxi Driver.
Chad, what do you say about Taxi Driver?
Absolutely with Taxi Driver. I'm not a huge Scorsese fan. I need to watch a lot more of his stuff, but this is definitely one that I really like. I've seen it at least twice all the way through, and it's kind of a very like similar. I don't know. I mean, you got stuff like harkening back, like Joker, harkening back to Taxi Driver and stuff. Everyone goes, that's basically Taxi Driver. It's just like it's a really good like original story, and I just love like the anti-hero aspect of that character. And you know, you're just like, this dude's gonna go off the edge at some point, and you're just waiting for it to happen. And it's such a great performance, great movie. Absolutely, yes.
Stephen, what do you say about Taxi Driver?
Okay.
He hates it.
I just saw it before this.
I don't hate it actually. The first half of the movie is excellent, and De Niro's great in it. But the stuff with Jodie Foster and her pimp, even though it's obviously important to the way the movie ends, it comes in so late in the movie, and the last 5 minutes of this movie baffled me because it seemed like it was trying to almost go for a happy ending, and this guy's so unhinged. I don't know. I'm not really crazy about what I. Maybe after a while, if once I think about it more, I'll like it more. But for now, I'm very mixed on the movie. I gotta see now.
Damn,
Um,
respectable.
Jonathan, what do you say about Taxi Driver?
I'm actually surprised by your response. I'll explain you the ending after it's over. 100% yes. Taxi Driver. This is a great movie. I mean, it inspired Joker in a way. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I get what you're saying regarding the Jodie Foster subplot. I mean, he wants to do good by helping out Jodie Foster because of her age. Get away from the pimp, and then we get to the ending, which we'll talk about later. But I think this is another classic, another masterpiece from Scorsese. I mean, Scorsese has a lot of great movies in each decade with De Niro. Well, except for the 2000s, I don't think he had a movie with De Niro. But yeah, nine movies. Yeah. I know, Dan. But yeah, Taxi Driver definitely 100% should go on the top 12.
Yeah. But with that, Taxi Driver does make the list. Me personally, like I remember I've seen this once a long time ago. I just couldn't find it to rewatch, so I don't remember a lot about this movie. I probably would have leaned to no just because I don't remember much about it, but it made the list regardless. So yeah, that's that.
It's gonna be an interesting ranking.
But Chad, what is
Oh,
your next
right.
movie?
Oh,
It's gonna
right.
be
I gotta
tough.
have something.
It's gonna be tough. Ooh, I got one.
There's definitely a lot. Yeah, I haven't seen a ton of, and I kind of want to go for something. I'm gonna go for something that I don't think maybe other people will bring up because I see ones that people are definitely gonna probably bring up. So I want to throw out Cape Fear.
Ooh.
This movie I just recently watched
man.
yesterday. And I mean, if it doesn't make it, it's fine.
It's a tough one.
I think it's a good movie. I don't know if it's a great movie, but it's it was really kind of a fun thriller, and I feel like this is a different kind of De Niro that you rarely see. Like you see the mob villain and the Al Capone's De Niro's, but you don't all the time see just this, out for vengeance, singular guy, not in the mob. He felt like something was done wrong to him, and he's going to get vengeance no matter what. And in some ways, you're kind of maybe he should get a little bit of vengeance, but he does go far and beyond in this movie, and it's really crazy kind of a movie. But I really liked it quite a bit, and I thought he was crazy and crazy good in the movie. So Cape Fear.
Stephen, what do you say about Cape Fear?
It's kind of in the same spot as The Intern, in that I think it's a really good movie. It's a testament to Scorsese's career that I think it's one of his lesser movies, but it's still really good. And De Niro gives sometimes when actors go over the top, I don't care for it, but this is over the top done well because he's actually pretty frightening in the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm only saying no because I just think De Niro's done, he's done so many other great stuff that I think that are better than Cape Fear.
Jonathan, what do you say about Cape Fear?
This is the most difficult movie on the list, on this filmography, to be honest, because I am mixed on this movie. On one hand, the plot for me is a bit of a mess because it really focuses on the family, and the family is not as interesting, except for Juliette Lewis. I actually liked her performance quite a lot. On the other side, De Niro does give one of his best performances, He is creepy with that accent. Oh my God! If you see
Southern accent.
that Southern accent, like, counselor. I mean, if you see a guy like that around the corner or in the parking lot, run for your life. Like, my goodness. Oh man, this is tough. Because of his performance, because he is so creepy, and because this is actually my least favorite Scorsese De Niro movie, but because of his performance, a marginal yes. It's just a heck of a good performance.
Yeah, this is one I've seen bits and pieces of. I just haven't seen the whole thing, so I've got to say no. Which means it's on Dan.
Oh no!
What do you say about Cape Fear?
Come on, wherever you are. Yeah, are you kidding me? Max Cady? Are you kidding me? You gotta have Max Cady on the list of De Niro performances or De Niro movies or whatever. You might not like the movie, some people out there, whatever. You might like the original Cape Fear. This of Scorsese's movies that, I mean, with De Niro, this is one of my favorites because he is playing a completely different character than anything. And I think if you concentrate on it, you'll see the motivations of Nick Nolte and the things which got him to where he got. And then, of course, all those things are coming back to fruition with him, and he has to protect his family. And De Niro has a legitimate gripe of what Nick Nolte was doing or not doing, and he definitely is out to get Nick Nolte for not protecting him and not trying to help him out when he had a chance. But yeah, Max Cady is one of De Niro's best performances, and I'd be upset if this wasn't on the list.
In fact, Cape Fear does.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I was just playing inside, Jonathan. Did you gonna say yes?
It was marginal. It was like this. So.
But with that, we go back to Stephen.
I will go with. I don't think this is gonna make the list because even though the reception when this movie came out wasn't terrible, but it wasn't like great. But I think it's one of his most underrated movies, and I think it's one of his most underrated performances, and that would be in City by the Sea, which he plays. He's James Franco's father, and he has to deal with the fact that he's kind of failed as a father, and the ending, I think, especially when he's trying to talk his son out from basically killing himself by suicide by cop at the end, and I think it's it's one of his most underrated movies, and that's my next pick.
City by the Sea is on the table. Jonathan, what do you say?
I gotta be honest. I've only seen it one time, a long time ago, and it was just okay. I wasn't that blown away by the movie or his performance. I do like Franco in the movie. I do like McDormand in the movie. I'm sorry, it's a no for me, dog.
I've just not seen this. Dan.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm going to mirror what Jonathan said. I saw it one time a while back when it first came out in theaters because of De Niro and Franco, and I was like, when I think about great De Niro performances or even mediocre De Niro performances, I don't even think of City by the Sea. So it's not that it's bad, Stephen, and not that I didn't like it or whatever. It's just I don't think of it as one of his best. So I'm going to have to say no as well.
Chad, what would you have said about City by the Sea?
I think I've seen the poster. I've never really heard of this movie, but this is like post. I think post Freaks and Geeks, pre Spider-Man Franco. I kind of want to check this out now, but I haven't seen it.
But Jonathan, we go back to you for your next nomination.
I gotta quote this next movie here because it's a long one. Don't let yourself get attached to anything you are not willing to walk out in 30 seconds flat if you feel the heat around the corner. Heat. Directed by Michael Mann. I mean, it's such a... You gotta have Heat on the list. I mean, this is the one that really highlighted him and Pacino going mano a mano in this movie. That's how it was marketed. And of course, Kilmer was on the poster. Yes, but De Niro just plays such a cool guy in which he lends a hand to stealing or planning a heist and stealing bearer bonds from a bank managed by William Fichtner. It has a great ensemble cast: De Niro, Pacino, Kilmer, Ashley Judd, McKelty Williamson, Ted Levine, Natalie Portman, Wes Studi, John Voight. Yeah, this is a great movie, one of my favorites of all time, and just again, De Niro just plays it cool against all odds, in which he wants to go and not fail his mission. But obviously, after that, there's some complications as Pacino is getting closer and closer. So, Heat.
Heat is on the table. This is one that I do think is a good movie. It's not in my personal top 12, but because I do like it enough, and I kind of said to myself, like, if it's in my top 15, I will still say yes to it. So I'm going to say yes to Heat. Dan, have you seen Heat?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have. Neil McCauley, one of De Niro's best characters in his filmography. And that cat and mouse game between him and Al Pacino is phenomenal. That's what makes this movie. Michael Mann has this kinetic and this really like in your face kind of style, which is really good. And you learn about these guys. They're not just cops and robbers. You get their backstory and stuff. And so you really care about the bad guys, but you also care about the good guys. And I really love De Niro as Neil McCauley in Heat. So it would be a yes for me.
Yeah, he's definitely the loner of the group. Yeah.
Chad, have you seen Heat?
Yes. I saw this a while ago, and like this is the one when I was scanning I don't have them like all full ranked, but I was scanning the movies and I was like, what do I want to? And then before I did Cape Fear, I saw Heat and I was like, it's probably going to come up. But that's not a bad thing because I remember not loving the movie, but I love like especially that one scene and like with the diner or whatever. And like this has like some of the best like lines too. I just was looking it up to make sure this was in that movie. It's the one with Al Pacino where he goes, she's got a great ass.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love classic lines and stuff like that. So
I had
like,
coffee with McCauley half an hour ago.
So yeah, I really wanted to rewatch this one, and I'm definitely going to do that very soon after this. And so I, for sure, yes to this one. I was watching the Untouchables when he was doing the Al Capone, and when he was like just doing the way Robert De Niro talks, I was like, I love watching the scene I'm watching right now, but I really want to watch that Heat scene. So yeah.
And Stephen, what would you have said about Heat?
This is actually the one I was actually going to bring this up before, but I knew someone else would, so that's why I went with City by the Sea, because I knew that one was probably not going to be brought up or make it. But yeah, it's one of his best. It's Michael Mann's second best movie. It's the gunfights in this movie. I mean that chase scene between the cops and De Niro's crew is just phenomenal. So yes, it's definitely a yes.
Yay.
Unanimous.
Yay.
But it's back to me. And I'm going to bring up one that I was going to bring up last time that I'm surprised hasn't been brought up yet, and that's The Godfather Part 2. This is one that I actually rewatched yesterday, and this one still holds up. I really love this movie, and from what Robert De Niro does when he's playing Vito, he seems like a younger Marlon Brando at times. It just works. It's one of those ones that like I've known for ages that Robert De Niro played Vito and trivia things, but the first time I've seen the first and second Godfather was last year. I've still got to see 3, but that's another story. But yeah, Godfather Part 2 is on the table. Dan, what do you say?
I'll tell you what I love. This is what makes De Niro a great actor. He knew about the performance that Brando gave, and so he knew he had to do his best to try to mirror what Brando did. So he kind of did a lesser. You didn't get that crazy De Niro because this is one of his first performances he ever gave. And he gave a real subdued performance because of what Brando was doing. So he uses his hands, he uses his face, not a lot of dialogue from him. And it's in Italian, it's subtitled, so you happen to read it. But it's a more subdued performance. But that shows you what a great actor De Niro is, that he can be so emotive with his hands and his face and things like that and still give a great performance. And for him to have to match Marlon Brando, I think, and obviously the Academy thought so because they gave him an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. So yeah, this is a definite yes for me, Malcolm.
Chad, what do you say about The Godfather Part 2?
The Godfather Part 2? Ew, what is that? No, just kidding. Seriously, like, what do you expect me to say? Like, I'm gonna sit here and just shit on one of like the best movies in like all of cinema or whatever. Like, I mean, this one's like arguably better than the original, which is another masterpiece. So like these like the top tier, like, mob, crime, drama, whatever you want to say, movies, like, and then for Robert De Niro to take like one of the best performances from Brando, one of the best actors, and then himself like hold a candle to that, just proves what a great actor he is. And I didn't get a chance to rewatch it. It's like a 3.5-hour movie. I really want to rewatch all three. Actually, I've never seen the third one, but I really want to watch through all three of these soon, and because they're just really great. I don't think I appreciated any of them the first time I saw them, but I definitely know that they're great movies, and I really really want to rewatch them just to appreciate them. So. Yes, for sure.
Stephen, what do you say about The Godfather Part 2?
This is one that I really wanted to rewatch for tonight's app, but I didn't get around to doing it, unfortunately, because it's been a long time since I've seen it. But I do remember loving it, and I love all three of them, even the third one. Even though the third one might not be as good as 1 and 2, but I still think it's a really good movie. But it's a yes for me.
And Jonathan, what would you have said about The Godfather Part 2?
I mean, of course. It is arguably one of the best sequels of all time. Probably the best sequel. Dan just beautifully said it. I mean, his performance doesn't mimic Marlon Brando's performance. He makes it his own. And you sympathize with Vito along the way as he has his own problems, his familial problems. He gets let go, and then he has to find a solution as to how he will provide for his family. And that was the main focus for him. And even though he was involved in some illegal things, in the end, he just wanted to provide for his own family. And then later on, he started out his own olive oil company, and then also, avenge his mother by killing the Don in Italy, which is awesome. So, of course, Godfather Part 2 should be on the list.
Yeah. But Dan, what is your next nomination?
Boy, I have ones that I want to mention. I want to bring this one up, but I just am worried that you guys haven't seen it and you're going to vote it down. And I'm going to be sad. I think I got one vote here. I'm worried that I'm not going to get 2 more votes out of this, but I got to bring up Rupert Pupkin from The King of Comedy. I freaking love this movie. This guy wants to be a stand-up comedian, and he goes down. He tries to get an interview to get on the Jerry it's Jerry something show, but it's actually Jerry Lewis playing this talk show. So it's really meta before meta was a thing. And then he doesn't get on and he kidnaps them and stuff. And you got Sandra Bernhard. She's a wacko. And he does Raging Bull before this. He does The Godfather Part 2. He does This is completely off the rails, and he sells it like nobody's business. I have to talk about Rupert Pupkin.
Chad, what do you say about the King of Comedy?
Yeah, I think this is like the other half of the Joker or whatever, that they just took some of these old Scorsese movies and combined them to make a pretty decent movie. Another one down the line. But yeah, I haven't seen this one. I really wanted to. There was the other night, I was like, I need to watch some more De Niro movies just to get a good catalog so I don't embarrass myself. And then I was like, looking through it, I was trying to find it. It just wasn't anywhere. I had the Malcolm problem where I'm like, I can't find it. So sorry, I have to abstain. I want to see it though.
Stephen, what do you say about the King of Comedy?
I have seen it, but it was such a long time ago. It's just not fresh enough in my mind for me to say either way. So unfortunately, I got to say no.
Oh no,
Jonathan, what do you say about the King of Comedy?
Oh boy. God. The King of Comedy. I have seen it. Yeah, this is an underrated performance, and this is another scary, but a different kind of scary performance in which he's not as bombastic as you think. Because all he wants to pursue is just have his own moment and be a stand-up comedian. Just have one moment. And I think Stephen is referring to in the ending. I think he would be frustrated if he had rewatched it for this. It's the same kind of ending that Taxi Driver had in a way. But I do like it very much. It's in my top 12. So I'm going to go yes. It's a solid yes. It's not one of the very best, but I think his performance is one of the best. Definitely one of the more underrated performances. So I'm going to go yes.
So it comes down to me. And I've seen The Joker. I've seen Taxi Driver. Have I seen The King of Comedy? We'll find out after these messages.
Messages.
I don't have any messages. I was just trying to drag this out as long as I could to make Dan sweat, but I have seen The King of Comedy.
Little Niro's Pizza.
I have seen the movie. I do like it. I watched it for the first time back when Joker came out because I was seeing all the reviews of people going, it's basically a King of Comedy. So I thought, I'll watch it. They'll go see Joker to compare it, and yeah, it basically is the same thing, sort of. But I'm going to say yes to King of Comedy. Robert De Niro's performance in this is great, so it makes the list.
Good pick, Dan. Good pick.
Well, I was worried. I was like, well, Rupert Pupkin have enough people seen The King of Comedy, you know?
But with that, we go back to Chad.
All right.
Tougher for me.
All right, so yeah, I'm kind of gonna throw probably, because I know there's one that's probably definitely gonna come up and get on to the list. So I'm gonna take 2 other ones and choose one. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with this one. I'm gonna go with Meet the Parents.
Oh, that was my next pick.
Okay.
Uh,
So
okay.
I didn't know if anybody were gonna actually bring this one up. I mean, it's a comedy. It's I mean, I think it's hilarious. I don't know how well it holds up in today's time, but like back then it was like a big comedy. Ben Stiller's hilarious. I think Robert De Niro's hilarious in this. Even though he has the reserved dad kind of whatever, but like his whole storyline of being like the like ex CIA or whatever is like really cool, and
Yeah.
just the back and forth between him and Ben Stiller. The sequels didn't really weren't really anything. I don't think that great, but the first one is just a really really good classic of I mean everyone most everyone I feel like has to go through this where they got to meet the parents, and so it's a very relatable movie, but it's also very kind of over the top with dude's a CIA or whatever, so it's like but it's hilarious. So yeah, sure, let's see if this makes it on.
Stephen, what do you say about Meet the Parents?
I don't disagree with anything he said. It's just that he did another comedy that came out a year before that I love even more. And so it's going to be a slight no.
Jonathan, what do you say about Meet the Parents?
My reaction is a spoiler to Chad's address about Meet the Parents. So it's a yes. It's a solid yes. We got to have a different, a comedy on the list. I mean, and I think this is his best comedic performance. He basically is spoofing himself in a way, and in addition to what Steven is referring to, I know what he's talking about. But Meet the Parents, it is a relatable comedy. It does hold up a little bit. The first movie for sure. I mean, yeah, we all have that anxiety, and we all have that anxiety of meeting the parents. And and De Niro, he is funny in a subdued way. The lie detector scene is kind of gold, and also the Jinxie cat. His obsession with Jinxie cat is pretty funny. So, and it is sweet. And then the ending, obviously, with Ben Stiller's character. Greg Fokker finding the camera, and then De Niro watching it. It's funny.
Gaylord Fokker.
Gaylord Fokker, yeah. So yeah, solid yes.
I have nipples, Greg. Can you milk me?
Yes.
Sorry, Malcolm.
I was literally going to do the exact quote.
Just kick me off, dude. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I love Meet the Parents. Like I even like the sequels too. Like I do enjoy Meet the Fockers. I think that's got the same good. That's about the same as Meet the Parents. Little Fockers is definitely the worst of the trilogy. But I do enjoy watching all of them. But Meet the Parents is definitely making this list. Dan, what would you have said about Meet the Parents?
Yeah, Malcolm had voted it down. I was going to vote it on anyway because I absolutely love Meet the Parents. Jack Burns, I'm watching you. That's where we get that from, people. If you didn't know what this is,
the circle of trust.
The circle of trust.
That's right.
I freaking love.
Circle.
I mean, to what Steven said. This is why he's such a well-rounded actor. Is that he can do serious, he could do funny, he could do spoofs of himself, he does so many different kinds of characters, Robert De Niro. And this is when he did this, and the one that I think Stephen was going to talk about or brought up, right? He without bringing up. That's what really showed the range of Robert De Niro. So yeah, I definitely would have had. It was a big yes for me.
You can't say bomb on an airplane. Bomb, 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 bomb.
But with that, we go to Stephen for his next nomination.
Well, I'm not going to bring up the one that I just yet because we only have 3 spots left. So there's one. So there's one that I need to bring up in case no one else brings it up. Because even though it's been a while since I've seen it, I love this movie, and it's the movie that I named my named of, which is Midnight Run. De Niro and Charles Grodin are so great together in that movie, and I just loved. I just remember loving every minute of that movie. So, Midnight Run's my next pick.
Jonathan, what do you say about Midnight Run?
This is gonna shock y'all. This is one of the few De Niro movies I haven't seen, so I cannot say.
Yeah, this is one I haven't seen myself.
No.
It was on Netflix over here last month, but then
HBO.
when I went to watch it on the 1st of November, it was gone. So,
So I know it's HBO Max is not available in New Zealand, but if you're in the US, it's available on HBO Max.
But Dan, we go. What do you say about Midnight Run?
I'll tell you what. When Steven popped up on screen and it said Jack Walson's, oh, Steven's a big Midnight Run fan, and I'm like, Midnight Run is such a absolute classic of a movie, and it's basically a road trip movie across the country, and they're stuck together. Charles Grodin and Robert De Niro are stuck together, and he has to get the bond for Charles Grodin because he's like an accountant or something like that for some evil guys. I love it. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I would have said yes for Midnight Run, and I was glad that Steven brought it up.
Which means, Chad, it's on you. Have you seen Midnight Run?
No, I haven't. Unfortunately, there's just one. Yeah, that I just haven't gotten around to. I mean, it hasn't even been on my list, but it's on there now. I'm gonna go through the De Niro run. So
I'm gonna watch it tonight. Yeah.
But with that, we go back to Jonathan.
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Ugh. Okay.
Sorry about that, Steven.
Don't beat yourself up about it, bro.
Okay, this is getting harder. I'm not gonna bring this movie up, so I have a feeling that somebody else is gonna bring it up. I think Dan may bring it up later. I have a feeling. So I'm gonna fight for. I think this is probably not going to be on the list, but I'm gonna just say this movie because this is one of his most underrated performances. Once Upon a Time in America. Sergio Leone's last movie. This is a poetic, sort of a sad movie, not just about gangster life, but also about a friendship between De Niro and James Woods' character, from childhood to his old life. And it is a bit of a convoluted plot in terms of how the plot, each different threads of plot is interwoven and then coming together in the end. It is a sad movie, a little bit of a sad movie, but De Niro really brings out his very best in his role, especially in his old age as Noodles, in which he deciphers each each clue from his past regarding or tying up with his gangster life as a young man with his own group of friends as they are starting up their own their company and during Prohibition. So Once Upon a Time in America. I mean, I won't be sad if this is not going to be on the list because I don't know if many people have seen it. So.
Yeah, I haven't seen this. Dan?
Long movie, Jonathan. But David Noodles Aronson, very early in his career, De Niro has shown that he had a lot of range. And this is in the early 80s. What, 84, 85 in there somewhere? This came out?
84.
And you could see De Niro was trying to do different things. Even though he was doing gangsters and he had done gangsters, he wanted to do a different aspect of gangsters. And he'll do that after Once Upon a Time in America. But I think one of the few real subdued kind of just different kind of roles for De Niro is David Noodles Aronson. So I would have said yes for this is actually number 12 on my list.
Chad, what do you say about Once Upon a Time in America?
Not going to waste a ton of time. Haven't seen it. I want
Steven?
to though.
There are two movies that I really wanted. I managed to get Taxi Driver, but there were two other movies that I really wanted to see for this, and that unfortunately I didn't get to. And this is one of those two. So I haven't seen it. So I got to say no.
But with
It is a long watch. It is a long watch.
It's a 4-hour movie.
So is The Godfather Part 2.
No,
This
but
is 4 hours.
4 hours.
It's even longer.
Yes.
But with that, it comes back to me for my next nomination. I'm going to bring this one up because I really love this movie. And I think it needs a lot more attention than what it's got. It's Stardust. This is one that I've had. That has.
Oh my
been,
God.
This is one that has really
I
not
gotta
been
think about this
seen a
one.
lot. And I wish it did better than what it did, but Robert De Niro's performance as a gay pirate in this is just entertaining. It's just one of those ones I really love. I love this movie. It has been a while since I've seen it. I was going to rewatch it, just ran out of time. But Dan, what do you say about Stardust?
I really like Stardust. I like De Niro in Stardust. I like the whole cast in Stardust. I really like Stardust. I just don't have this as in my top 20 De Niro performances. So I have to say no for that.
Chad, what do you say about Stardust?
I feel like Malcolm brings this up quite a bit, or at least he has a couple times. But yeah, I haven't seen it. Sorry.
Stephen, what do you say about Stardust?
For me, it's in the same category as The Intern and Cape Fear. I think it's a very enjoyable movie that I like it, but I don't think it's one of De Niro's best movies. So no.
Jonathan?
It's a good movie. But I don't think I think De Niro has a fun time in this movie. I don't think he's really he's not really the focus of the movie. It's just a fun performance from him. He's having a good time, and yeah, it is one of his best performances in the later years for sure. Yeah, Matthew Vaughn directing it. Unfortunately, no.
But Dan, what is your next nomination?
I'll tell you, I know a lot of you guys are young. Maybe a couple of you guys might be in your upper 30s or whatever. But when I was a kid, you have like these towns and these people that are kind of just going through their life, and then they were thrust into just whatever, going to Vietnam and it kind of brought some of these towns problems and trouble and whatnot. And a movie that to me really epitomizes what this country went through during and before and after the Vietnam War was The Deer Hunter. And Robert De Niro plays a character by the name of Michael. He's just a guy. These guys all work in a factory in Pittsburgh, and they end up getting recruited to go off to Vietnam War. And what happens in the Vietnam War with some of these characters irrevocably changes their relationships when they come back, how they interact with people, how they go through life. And it starts off with a wedding and then ends with not so much some worse, some bad things. And but it really epitomizes what this country was all about at the time of the 60s and 70s. And I could not do a top 12 Robert De Niro without bringing up Michael from The Deer Hunter. And, it's also got Christopher Walken, John Cazale, Meryl Streep. are all in this movie, and it won Best Picture at the Academy Awards for a reason, because it's a great movie with great performances and great story and so forth. So The Deer Hunter, Michael.
Chad, what do you say about The Deer Hunter?
Yeah, that sounds like some like high praise. Got some accolades there. It sounds like that concept sounds like in the vein of like First Blood and stuff like that. I feel like I'd really like this movie, but I haven't seen it. As I was going through my list, I saw it and I went, "Oh, I want to see that," but I didn't find it anywhere.
And I didn't bring up any spoilers either. I didn't want to spoil it in case people didn't see it.
I don't think you have. So,
Stephen, what do you say about The Deer Hunter?
The first hour of this movie takes kind of. I think the first hour could have been cut because I think it goes on too long. But the hours 2 and 3 are fantastic. The Russian roulette scenes are probably some of the most intense moments I've ever seen in a movie. And Christopher Walken is. He won the Oscar for this movie. I'll say yes. It's not one of my favorites, but it's because hours 2 and 3 are so strong. I'll say yes.
Jonathan, what do you say about The Deer Hunter?
Is this a precedent where, like, can you come back to me? Because I really, really need to think about this one. I have seen it, but I really, really need to think about it.
I mean, I can, but I'm just going to say I've not seen it, so...
Oh, God.
back to you.
Oh. Oh, my God. Deer Hunter. I've seen it one time. A while ago. I thought it was okay. I'll give him the Russian roulette scenes. Those are intense. Walken is great. Meryl Streep is great. De Niro is good. But I think this is one I need to rewatch again to really experience more, like now older, because I have seen it a long while ago, like probably 6 or 7 years ago. But I don't know, it just didn't resonate with me in a way. It just, I don't know, it was okay. I have it down like a number 15, 16. Well, actually 16. But yeah, unfortunately, Dan, it's a slight no. But I need to rewatch it. So
I definitely recommend rewatching it.
yeah.
But with that, we go back to Chad.
All right. Yeah, there's definitely one I'm pretty sure someone else is going to bring up at some point, but I'm not going to do that right now because I think someone will. And I'm going to bring up one that I recently saw that I really liked from a great filmmaker that I think has pretty much all of his movies are fantastic. And De Niro doesn't have like a huge role. He's not like the main character of this movie or anything.
Oh, I think
but he has a great performance. Jackie Brown. So yeah, Jackie Brown. Like, dude, like this one is it's just one that I hadn't seen from Quentin Tarantino. I've seen like all the other ones way more. I saw this once, but like I don't know. I think De Niro has like a really different performance in this too. Like he's not really a mobster. I mean, he just kind of like got out of jail. He's meeting up with the wrong people, trying to, get back into that life, I guess. And but he's kind of a dumb character in this. He just sits around, like, gets stoned, then he's gonna go. He just makes really dumb decisions in this, and I think that's hilarious and great from him. And because he's usually like, I don't know, like a mob boss or something, or he's usually like really smart guy in these movies, but like this one, And, I just think like the plot in this movie is really great. The music's fantastic, when you just talk about the movie. And I think he works really well in this movie. I mean, Quentin Tarantino, like even with Death Proof, it's not like I think it's great for the movie that he wanted to make. So it's just, he hasn't really made like a bad movie. It's Jackie Brown's great.
Stephen, what do you say about Jackie Brown?
It's been a while since I've seen it, and I do like it. I think if I were to rank Tarantino movies, I think I have it around like number 6. But I'm gonna say no just because we only have like 3 spots left.
Jonathan, what do you say about Jackie Brown?
I rewatched this recently, actually, and I liked it more. Actually, De Niro does give an interesting performance as a stoner. He's actually stoned for most of the movie, because I read somewhere that critics did not like his performance. That he's basically sitting there doing nothing, and I said to myself, "That's the freaking point of his character." He was once brilliant, and now he's stoned. Just having got out of prison. I mean, he's basically enjoying his, I guess, life. Just sitting around, being stoned, watching TV, talking with Samuel L. Jackson, having sex with Bridget Fonda's character, just having the time of his life until they got to the job regarding a very complicated job surrounding the money in the mall. And then he doesn't really make bold decisions, let's just say. And then it kind of ruins the whole thing for both De Niro and Samuel L. Jackson's character, Ordell Robbie. And yeah, it is one of Tarantino's underrated films. It's in the bottom tier, but I think it's good enough to make this list. It is a good call, Chad. That's a good call.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, but with that, this isn't one of my favorite Tarantino movies per se, but I do like Robert De Niro in this. I do think this, and I do enjoy this movie. And this is one that I've been meaning to rewatch for the longest time, but just never got around to it. But I'm going to say yes. Dan, what would you have said about Jackie Brown?
Yeah, I mean, for what Jonathan said, and based on my own memory of De Niro's performance in the film, I'm not that big of a fan of Jackie Brown. It's down on my list of Quentin Tarantino films. It's way down on my list of De Niro performances in movies. I didn't like him in this movie in particular, so I would have said no.
But with that, we go back to Stephen.
Okay, my next choice is a movie that he's not the lead character. I don't even know if you can say it's a lead character because it's very much an ensemble effort. But he gives a very strong performance playing a priest who, throughout in the movie, he's faced with a very big moral dilemma of wanting to, help and protect.
Two performances.
Yeah, and but he would have to lie in court to protect them.
Oh.
And that's Sleepers, which I think is one of De Niro's more underrated performances and movies. So yeah, Sleepers is my next choice.
Jonathan, what do you say about Sleepers?
I have seen it. It is sort of forgettable, in my opinion. It's more of a Bond film, like a bonding experience between the leads. De Niro's performance is an interesting one. Yeah, it is an interesting performance, but it's not one of his best movies, and I gotta go with no on this one.
Yep. And to answer Leo in the chat, we've got 10 on movies on the list so far. Yeah, Sleepers is one that I started watching a while back, but I made the mistake of watching it late at night, and I fell asleep in the middle of the movie. And I just and I haven't since gone back to watch it again. So I'm going to say no.
Do that all the time.
But Dan, what do you say about Sleepers?
No, I agree with Steven. It is an underrated performance from De Niro as a priest, but it's not his movie. It really focuses on these these kids then turned adults, and this and this thing that happens, and I love the movie. I absolutely love the movie, but it's way down on the list for De Niro, and that's why I have to say no.
Chad, what would you have said about Sleepers?
I haven't seen it.
Which means we're back to Jonathan for the next nomination.
I'm shocked that this movie's not on the list yet. You know what? Screw it. I'm just going to say it. Goodfellas 2.0, Casino. Casino. It is a companion piece to Goodfellas for sure. But this is a different type of gangster movie. Because now he is a gangster, of course, but he's running a casino. His priorities they're not straight. They're not set straight throughout the movie, because he's running a casino. He meets Sharon Stone, Stone's character, which actually destroys the whole lifestyle for him. But what's worse is Nicky Santoro, played by Joe Pesci, in a similar type of role as Goodfellas, but it's different. He's actually worse, because he wants to take it for himself in Las Vegas, in which it kind of disrupts the mob boss's mentality of stealing money from the casino, because what Nicky does in the movie is just wrong, without spoiling, but it threatens his friendship with De Niro, his marriage with Stone. But Casino, I think this has to make the list.
Yeah, this is one I chose. I would have brought up had you had not brought it up, but I legitimately just didn't want to bring it up, because it was one of those ones I thought, oh yeah, it's going to be brought up at some stage. Then time went on, it never had. But I'm glad it's brought up now. I'm saying yes to Casino. I love this movie. I think it's good. Dan, what do you say about Casino?
Yeah, Sam Ace Rothstein. I mean, he narrates the movie. It's basically his story of what happens to him and this casino and the people involved. You mentioned Joe Pesci. You mentioned Sharon. So this is actually a true story that actually happened. They changed the names of some of these people because they're real life criminals, and they're from Chicago, and they're in the mob and that sort of thing. And Scorsese really knows how to tell these kinds of stories. And De Niro as the lead in this, and he wasn't the lead in Goodfellas. He was a supporting, and this time he's the lead. And then some things happen to him, which is kind of funny, because the movie starts off with an explosion, a car explosion, and you're like, wow, what a way to start off the movie. And then you start having De Niro narrate the whole movie, and so I absolutely love him as Sam Ace Rothstein. And if you call it Goodfellas 2.0, I just call it just a great character and a great movie. So yes.
Casino does make the list. Chad, what would you have said about Casino?
Yeah, this is definitely one that I've seen everywhere, that I really have wanted to check out for this, but it wasn't available streaming, and I didn't have time to. I would have bought the Blu-ray and just watched it, but I didn't have the time, so I haven't seen it.
Stephen,
what would you have said about Casino?
It's been a while since I've seen it, but it is a great movie, so I probably would have said yes, even though that means I think we only have one spot left.
Yeah, we got one spot.
Yeah.
Left.
Before we move on, what was so interesting about Casino is that you see that people are equally as corrupt. People in Vegas are equally as corrupt as the mob, which is very interesting. And I also love the casino operations going on. And Scorsese does a really good job. Yeah, it's a quick 3 hours, Chad. It's another quick 3 hours.
We'll get to it.
All right, so it's back to me for my next nomination.
Oh boy,
there's two I want to bring up. I'm going to go for this one because I think it's a great performance. I'm going to go bring up Silver Linings Playbook. This
Oh my
is a
God.
movie
Hmm.
directed by David O. Russell. This one is a great movie. I do really like Robert Niro's character in this. I mean, if it doesn't get on, I will understand because it is more Bradley and Jennifer Lawrence throughout the movie. But Robert Niro does pop up a few times. I think he's great. I actually rewatched this last night and just remembered why I fell in love with it in the first place. Dan, what do you say about Silver Linings Playbook?
I really like Silver Linings Playbook. I like him as the father in there. You know, they're all Eagles fans and so forth. That really doesn't make me that happy as a Patriots fan. And I think he's good in the movie. But like you said, it's a Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper vehicle, and it kind of focuses on them, and he's kind of like a side character as this father figure. So I'm going to have to say no. But these are the kind of roles he started doing as his age started going up. He started doing fathers, older, these types of. But he's starting to find a niche in these type of roles, the intern, these kinds of roles, and when he's not doing, like I said, the bad grandpa, the war with grandpa, he can put a good performance out there in a small role. But I'm going to have to say no because it's kind of way down on the list for me.
Chad, what do you say about Silver Linings Playbook?
Yeah, every time Jonathan's all squirming over there, I'm like, what's going on with you? But now I get it because I'm sitting here like, this is a great movie. This should totally be on a list, but I don't know if it's this list because I mean it's in my short list of films De Niro's in, and if others had gotten shot down and stuff, and that we weren't at 11, then I could totally see putting this on. But as Malcolm himself even said, it's more of a, if this was like Jennifer Lawrence or Bradley Cooper movies or, whatever, then definitely. But there's at least one more movie that I'm like, how has this not come up yet? So, no.
Stephen, what do you say about Silver Linings Playbook?
Well, I live in from the Philadelphia area, so I love that aspect of the movie. I mean, I think it's a really good movie, but there's only one spot left, so I gotta say no.
And Jonathan, what would you have said?
Here's the reason why I said no. It's because of what Chad said. It's it's mostly a Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence movie than a De Niro movie. Oh man, that was a tough one. It was like number 14.
I also really like that Chris Tucker appearance in it. Like, come back. Like, whoa, he needs to be in more stuff. I love him.
And I think Chad and I are thinking of the same movie. I think we'll see.
But Dan, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
I don't know if you guys are going to bring this up or if you guys have even seen this movie. But it's called Awakenings, and Robin Williams plays the doctor, and he gets all these catatonic patients, and he has to give them this drug. They had some form of Parkinson's disease, and he gives them this drug, and they awaken. And Robert De Niro plays a character by the name of Leonard Lowe, and he does all these kinds of things after he awakens with this drug. But the drug necessarily ain't the best. Maybe it ain't the right thing, and maybe they shouldn't be giving this to patients in the 60s and 70s. Today, we would say, oh, don't be giving that to them, these people, because it's not good. But it woken these people up and got them around. They were doing stuff. They were moving around doing this and that. And, this is another movie where Robert Williams plays a doctor, but his patient this time was Robert De Niro, and he's phenomenal as a guy had just woken up from having Parkinson's disease, and it's if you haven't seen Awakenings, it's on Hulu. I highly recommend it, and it's directed by Penny Marshall.
Chad, what do you say about Awakenings?
Yeah, no, I definitely haven't seen this one, but it sounds kind of awesome. I definitely want to check that out. But even if I had, that's definitely not the one that I'm like, how hasn't this been brought up yet? So I'm gonna say no.
Stephen, what do you say about Awakenings?
I do have a list of movies of his that actually I think I did see this like many years ago, but so long ago that I don't really remember any of it. So I gotta say no.
Jonathan, what do you say about Awakenings?
Okay, please, Malcolm, have you seen this first? I mean, before I do the same thing I did last time.
I will say I've seen one movie starring Robin Williams and Robert De Niro.
Oh God. Oh! I think I know what other one you're talking about. So, yeah, I think that kind of spoils it. But look, actually, I would have said. Look, I think I know what he's talking about. I would have said yes. I think De Niro does give a great performance in that movie. Yeah, I didn't think about Awakenings. I was like, whoa, because I was thinking about the other one, dead on. But then Awakenings, you brought it up. I was like, oh, that movie. He does give a great performance. It is a wonderful movie by Penny Marshall, as Robin Williams has to discover and research what is making these the people awaken. And then also it is a very good another good bonding film between Williams and De Niro. And I think Penelope Ann Miller's in this movie too. Okay, and it's a good call, Dan. I forgot about that one.
But yeah, Awakenings isn't the movie that I saw that has Robert De Niro.
Yeah, I know what other one.
The other one I'm pretty sure is not going to be brought up unless Chad really likes this movie, wants it on the list. But Chad, what is the movie that you think should be up here?
Yeah, watch Awakenings. Yeah. It's really good.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, this one, like really early on, I was like, oh, this one's gonna be brought up for sure. And I didn't exactly love this movie, but it's like when you think of like, Robert De Niro in like recent movies, like, he hasn't been doing that great, but he has one that came up recently that was nominated for Best Picture that I think probably deserved it. And in the, wake of, Netflix and like are they going to be able to just, have movies come out and be nominated and stuff like that? I think this movie has a lot of like conversation behind that. It's The Irishman. I'm pretty sure you got it. I understand there's a lot of Scorsese movies on here, but you guys were talking about there's like 9 collabs between them. It's no secret and no mistake that a lot of the great Robert De Niro movies are just going to be Martin Scorsese movies. Even though I don't love Martin Scorsese all that much, I'm definitely going to try to watch more of his stuff. But with The Irishman, I watched it in like, I don't know, 3 or 4 parts because, maybe it should have been kind of like The Hateful Eight where they release it in certain sections. But you know how Scorsese is and, people watching his movies not on an iPhone or whatever. But like, this movie with all the different like mob stuff that he's done, I don't know. I feel like he's always kind of been like a boss of some sorts or like one of those wise guys or whatever that's already been made and all that stuff. But like with this one, it's kind of like you see him go from the very beginnings to and he's not really even really in the mob. He's just like a he's just like a worker or whatever, doing odd jobs and stuff. And with who's the big guy that gets people. Where'd that guy go? What's his name? That Al Pacino
Jimmy
plays.
Hoffa.
Jimmy Hoffa.
Jimmy Hoffa. Yeah, so I feel like that's like a really big story that hasn't really been portrayed, and if it has, not as well as this, I'm sure. With Al Pacino, he's great in the movie, and I think both of them are really great in this movie, actually. And despite the really long runtime, I feel like this one is really good. I didn't love it. I really want to rewatch it because I feel like it's a great movie. And I just feel like it really probably should be on the list. So, and it's like the best one, I think, that really features Robert De Niro that's still on my list. So I have to bring this one up.
Stephen, what do you say about The Irishman?
I mean, we only have one spot left, so I gotta say no. I think also, De Niro is fine in the movie. He's not bad or anything, but I think the movie to me didn't really become alive until Al Pacino enters the movie, because and Jimmy Hoffa is the most interesting character in the movie, and and I didn't even think De Niro's character was all that interesting until he has the relationship between him and Hoffa, and then that and then all of the drama that comes of it, because he's told he has to kill him, and also the third act was also quite strong too, but we only have one spot left, so I'm gonna say no.
Jonathan, what do you think about The Irishman?
That was the same movie that I was thinking of, actually. Yeah, that was the one. Because De Niro does give a quietly sad performance, especially in the third act. As Joe Pesci's character asks him, well, obviously this is not really a spoiler because it's Jimmy Hoffa. We kind of know what happens to Hoffa, kind of. But he asks him to give the order to kill Hoffa during that scene, and you see his face, being in remorse and it's sad before he goes to. I think he has to go to Detroit. I think that's where he has to go to, and then he commits the act, and then afterwards, it ruins his life in a way because he has to tell his wife. And then you see that throughout the movie where he goes to prison, lives in prison with Pesci, and also narrates the movie, and that's the third act. I mean, yeah, the digital stuff where he's a young guy, it's okay.
It's kind of weird.
It is kind of weird, but his performance is definitely one of the best performances, equal to Joe Pesci, in my opinion. I think Pesci is the strongest of the three, but De Niro should have been nominated for the Oscar for Best Actor, in my opinion, because he's just extraordinarily good in this movie. It is parallel to Once Upon a Time in America in a way, in which he's living as an old guy looking to the past. So yeah, it is a great movie. I mean, yeah, great Netflix movie. It's coming out of Criterion, so yeah. That's 100% yes for me.
Yeah, if this was a limited series, I probably would have enjoyed this more. I really do not like The Irishman. I think Robert De Niro was fine in it. I personally don't think he should have been nominated for the Oscar, like he was predicting. But I won't get too much into it. There's a few episodes. When this came out, there's an episode of Gone with the Wind that I talked more about this extensively. But Dan, what do you say about The Irishman?
Oh God, I will tell you guys this: my number one movie of the year last year was The Irishman. I had it at number one on and I see between 250 and 300 movies a year. So that tells you something about me and The Irishman. I love Robert De Niro as Frank the Machine Gun Sheeran, but be honest with you, I think he's overshadowed by Joe Pesci and Al Pacino. And I think the movie itself is Scorsese trying to be Scorsese, trying to do something different that he had never done before. The CGI early in the movie with De Niro was not good, in my opinion. It wasn't good at all. I myself would have another Robert De Niro Scorsese performance on the list before I put The Irishman and Frank Sheeran on the list. So I'm going to say no.
Wow.
With the way he
Fair.
sounded it off, with the way
Okay.
he sounded off, like I thought, oh yeah, it's going to definitely be a yes.
Fair.
I got a couple of backups, so I'm okay.
With that, we go back to Stephen.
All right, I'll bring up the other comedy that came out before Meet the Parents that I loved, which was Analyze This. And I think De Niro is hilarious in the movie. I think Billy Crystal is great. I love the scene late in the movie when Billy Crystal has to pretend to be a mafia guy in the big meeting. I thought that scene was hilarious. So I love how the movie spoofs a lot of De Niro's previous mob characters. So Analyze This is my next.
Jonathan, what do you say about Analyze This?
Analyze This is a good movie. It is a underrated performance from De Niro, but I felt Billy Crystal was actually a little funnier because he's the person outside the mob. You know, there's a scene that is hilarious in which he has to pretend to be his consigliere, you know, in a room full of mobsters. And it's funny. De Niro does make fun of himself because of his, people recognizing him from mob movies. But it was not in my top 12, to be honest. It is down like top 20, but I would rewatch it a lot. It is a good movie. It is a good, fun performance. I don't see it as one of the 12. So no.
Analyze This is one of those ones that I know I've seen. I just really wanted to rewatch this. But I will give a slight yes, just because I do remember enjoying it. But yeah, Dan, what do you say about Analyze This?
I'll be honest with you. We've eliminated so many movies off of my list that I have come to Paul Vitti and I thought to myself, you know what? We've eliminated so many of the movies that I would have had on the list already that aren't on the list. And that we've come to this, and I'm thinking to myself, he's really great in a comedic role. And you don't see him do that many comedic roles. Obviously, Meet the Parents with Jack Burns. And I love him opposite Billy Crystal and Analyze This, Analyze That. So I'll say yes. I'm going to say yes to Analyze This.
Wow.
Paul Vitti. I just think he's funny. I think he takes the tropes of gangsters and he makes a lot of comedic decisions in these movies that I think are fantastic.
But Chad, what do you say about Analyze That?
Or
Yeah,
this,
I mean, no
this,
offense.
this.
And this.
Not that.
Yeah.
This and that.
Yeah. No offense. I mean, maybe I need to rewatch this. I just watched this for the first time, but I think this is a pretty stupid movie, to be honest. Like, the concept doesn't really make much sense. And with Robert De Niro, he's starting to like fake cry in this movie, and I'm like, I don't buy that for 1 second. And I'm like, he's like harassing basically this like psychiatrist. I think it's kind of an interesting concept, but it came around the same time they were doing less funny, but they were doing the same thing in The Sopranos, and that's a much better thing than Analyze
They did do The
This.
Sopranos after this. You're right. Chad, they
So,
did do the
I don't
Sopranos
know
very shortly after.
what I don't know what took from what, but it's
Sopranos.
I didn't really
Sopranos.
okay. I didn't really like it, to be honest. I mean, I thought parts of it were funny, like when he crashes into the car, and then the body's coming up, and he's like doing the duct tape, and he's like, "Don't worry about it, don't worry about it." And he's like,
that's
"I
funny.
need to pay for it." Some of the stuff is funny. I'll give it that, but I don't know. I pulled a Malcolm and I fell asleep during it. So I think I don't know. I didn't really like it that much. So I'd say no. I don't think it's better than The Irishman.
It's different. They're different kinds of movies.
Yeah.
True.
You want to re-examine your vote, Dan, for The Irishman? I mean,
because I feel like those movies that you guys voted down that are better than The Irishman.
I wanted to get Awakenings on the list. That was a good call.
What are you gonna do? We're getting down to the nitty gritty here, so you got to put something on.
Yeah.
But with that, Analyze This is making the list.
My next one was Wag the Dog.
I want to see that. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I probably would have said yes to that. I do love that.
I might have said yes to Wag the Dog too.
But with
By the way,
that,
the pilot first aired in January '99, which is before Analyze This came out.
Oh, okay, there you go then. That's the answer.
But in saying that, it probably would have been filming a little bit
Oh,
bit
man.
before it too. But anyway, we
Ranking
can
was
argue
gonna be
about
hard.
who stuff for what later. I'm just waiting for the part 3, Analyze These. But
Hell yeah, dude. Let's
That's
green
great.
light
I
that.
applaud you. That one.
If there was
That's
a third
great.
one, if there was a third one, it probably would have been Analyze the Other Thing. The other thing.
But anyway, just to recap what we've got on the list, we've got Raging Bull, we've got The Untouchables, we've got Goodfellas, we've got Taxi Driver, we've got Cape Fear, we've got Heat, we've got The Godfather Part 2, we've got The King of Comedy, we've got Meet the Parents, we've got Jackie Brown, we've got The Casino, we've got Analyze This. Jonathan, did you have any honourable mentions?
Well, I mentioned Wag the Dog because, I wanted to break a little bit of the mob mold a little bit. But I'm surprised The Bronx Tale was not mentioned. Bronx Tale is a solid choice. And then my last one would have been, where is it? Oh, The Score. Yeah, The Score.
Yeah, for me, The Bronx Tale was going to be the next one I was going to bring up. For me, as a guilty pleasure, I do enjoy New Year's Eve. But I was even though he's only got a small role in it, I was going to considering bringing up Joker. I enjoy Las Vegas and Shark Tale. But yeah, Dan, did you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I was going to bring up Mean Streets, where De Niro plays a character by the name of Johnny Boy, and that's a better performance than The Irishman. And he's young, he's up and coming. These guys are trying to learn the streets and learn the ways of being wise guys and gangsters and this sort of stuff. And it really is a great movie and great performances by Harvey Keitel, Robert De Niro. I can't remember who else is in it.
David Proval, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say A Bronx Tale. Also, that's it. I got. He's in New York with Liza Minnelli. You want him in a musical?
Also, no, Gav. No, I do not. I
Hell
enjoy
no.
him. Did you have any honorable mentions?
I think he might be known for hot takes or something over there. Yeah, I just watched Mean Streets for this, and I kind of wish that I would have brought that one up instead of The Irishman. But because I didn't love Mean Streets, but I liked it. I want to rewatch it again because it's one of those things where I'm like, I gotta, what's this about? And then, as soon as it ends, I go, oh, okay. Rewatch it to kind of see the brilliance of it. I really liked it. I liked him in that. I like to see a young De Niro. So, like kind of a stupid kid De Niro. He was like my age, 30, when he did that part. So that's really cool to see. So yeah, that's an honorable mention for sure. He has a very small role in this other movie, but it's a brilliant movie, Brazil. I never brought it up because he's barely in it. So I'm like, I don't know if that's going to even make the list, but it's worth an honorable mention. And then he's in American Hustle, which I think is a good movie. And yeah, the Joker, or not the Joker, but Joker. So, yeah, I think that's all I had.
Steven, do you have any honorable mentions?
Sure. He's directed 2 movies, and I think they're both great. And that's one was already mentioned, A Bronx Tale, and the other one that I is The Good Shepherd. Wag the Dog's mentioned. Somebody mentioned in the live chat, Copland. That's great.
I have not seen that.
Oh,
I see that.
great. Yeah, it's just might be Stallone's best movie ever.
One of his more underrated movies that I liked a lot, and I liked him a lot in, is 15 Minutes. And Men of Honor.
Oh, right.
That's the diving movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's about it.
Oh,
You guys don't. I guess you guys didn't like Meet the Fockers. I think it's probably
okay.
around the same level as Meet the Parents. I think they're
Yeah.
both.
Oh, I forgot one. I forgot one.
I got
This
two.
Boy's Life. I forgot that one. This Boy's Life.
This Boy's Life. I got 2 baseball movies. He plays a similar character to Max Cady in The Fan, where he's a fan upset with the player from the San Francisco Giants. Is kind of like a stalker, and then also he's a catcher for this baseball team in Bang the Drum Slowly, and he gets sick. Bruce Pearson, he plays in that. Both baseball movies. He's really good in both of those, De Niro.
But yeah, going to the live chat, we've got The Mission. Apparently Brian loved De Niro and Rocky Bullwinkle. I don't know why. Backdraft. Angel Heart, Mad Dog and Glory, This Boy's Life, Brazil, Meet the Fockers.
We're pretty unanimous on A Bronx Tale, to be honest.
Also, apparently, Mark Wiley is in Men of Honor.
Yeah, he is. I think. Yeah.
Something I didn't actually know. But for that, we're getting to now at the part where we get to do the fun ranking of these.
I wish we had A Bronx Tale on this list, to be honest. Now,
I actually would have been okay with A Bronx Tale over Analyze That.
But with that being said, we get to the fun part. We get. Yep. I've got my number 12 already written down.
Yeah.
I think it's probably going to be an easy one for this one. But I've got Analyze This. Dan?
Analyze This.
Chad?
Same.
Stephen?
Jackie Brown.
You're crazy.
Jonathan?
Analyze This.
Analyze This is going to be 12.
Right, there you go.
Okay. Good. What? Dan, what do you have for 11?
Jackie Brown.
Chad.
I haven't seen it. The King of Comedy.
Stephen.
Still Jackie Brown.
Jonathan.
Jackie Brown.
Jackie Brown.
Wow, almost unanimous.
No, when we get to the top, it'll get harder.
Yeah.
Oof. Actually, this next one's tough. I'll go with this one.
But Chad, what do you have for 10?
I'm a stick with it for now.
What was it?
Oh,
the
sorry, the King of Comedy. Sorry.
Steven.
Cape Fear.
Jonathan.
Cape Fear.
I put Heat. Dan.
I got Meet the Parents.
Ah.
Cape Fear is going to be at 10.
I thought about maybe doing that, but I've seen that.
We move on to 9. And Stephen, what do you have for 9?
Meet the Parents.
Jonathan.
Meet the Parents.
Sticking with Heat. Dan.
Sticking with Meet the Parents.
And
Chad.
I think Meet the Parents is much better than that, but so I'll just stick with King of Comedy for now. Probably regret it once I see the King of Comedy.
But we're moving on to 8.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Okay.
Jonathan, what do you have for 8?
Because he's a supporting performance in this, The Untouchables.
I'm sticking with Heat. Dan.
I got Casino.
Oh no.
Chad.
I'll double down. I'll second Casino because it's another one I haven't seen.
Stephen.
Casino. It's great, but I think these others.
Okay. All right. Fair.
Casino is going to be at 8. But
That's really high. Okay.
and that is called the Malcolm
We'll
Rule.
see.
But I'm sticking with Heat. Dan.
The Untouchables.
Chad.
Yeah, I think I'll stick with King of Comedy. I like The Untouchables.
Stephen.
I know it's probably gonna be in the top 3, but I chose Taxi Driver.
Jonathan.
I agree with one of you fellas. The Untouchables.
That is going to be 7.
Okay.
Okay, now this is where it gets tough, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to recap what we've got left. We've got Raging Bull, Goodfellas, Taxi Driver, Heat, Godfather Part 2, The King of Comedy, and that is it.
Thanks. Yeah.
I mean, even though there's some that we wanted on, that we think should have made it on here, it's still a good list regardless.
It is a strong list.
But Chad, what do you have for 6?
I think this has to go pretty soon. King of Comedy.
Stephen.
Yeah, except for King of Comedy, which I haven't seen. I love almost all of these. So I'm sticking with Taxi Driver.
Jonathan.
The King of Comedy.
Heat. Dan.
Even though I nominated it, I got the King of Comedy.
The other ones are good.
Okay, I think this next one's gonna be pretty easy. Okay.
But Dan, what do you have for 5?
Heat.
Chad.
I'm good with Heat being in 5 in the top 5.
Stephen.
Taxi Driver still.
Jonathan.
Heat. Oh boy. Top 4.
What do we have left? We have Raging Bull,
Taxi Driver, and Godfather Part 2.
Godfather.
Oh
Okay.
man. Oh boy. I need 20 seconds. Shit. This is gonna make me unpopular, but yeah.
Oh shit!
Okay.
Someone's going Godfather.
Stephen, what do you have for 4?
I'm sticking with Taxi Driver.
Jonathan.
Taxi Driver.
Ooh.
Just because I haven't seen it, I put Raging Bull. Dan.
Godfather Part 2.
Chad.
Yeah, I think Dan might have to be the decider here. I think Taxi Driver is better than Raging Bull.
So Dan, Taxi Driver or Raging Bull at 4?
Wow, you guys! Oh my God, guys, you guys are killing me here.
It's tough.
Taxi Driver or Raging Bull? Oh my God! Oh my God! They're my top 2. You're making me put one at 4. I'm gonna put Taxi Driver at 4, even though it pains me. Pains me.
Oh, this gets harder now.
Yep.
Oh,
Raging Bull, Goodfellas, The Godfather Part 2. But
you know what? No, actually.
I'm still Raging Bull. Dan, what do you have for 3?
Goodfellas. He's supporting in that.
Chad.
I second Dan. I just swapped it to Goodfellas because I think
Stephen.
Raging Bull, I guess, against John Pesci, the tiebreaker.
Jonathan.
Oh God, I'm in a deciding vote now. I put Godfather Part 2. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Goodfellas or Raging Bull?
Come on.
it's still the top 3, whatever makes it there.
He's supporting. He's a side character in Goodfellas. Jonathan.
Who was a Ray Liotta list?
It'd be number 1 or 2.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jonathan's
Actually,
frozen.
Ray Liotta's amazing in Hubie Halloween. So.
Oh God, Jonathan, are you frozen? Are you kidding me? Times to be frozen.
Yeah.
It's like a drum roll, epic drum rolls.
But just because Jonathan is frozen, I will go to the chat, which is all saying Goodfellas. So yeah, Goodfellas. I'm going to make Goodfellas number 3.
Now we go number 1,
Yeah.
right?
He said Goodfellas anyways.
We're going for number 1, right?
We're going for number 1.
Oh.
So we got The Godfather Part 2 or Raging Bull.
Both films he won Academy Awards for.
Okay, I'm back. Okay.
You kind of froze at the worst time, John.
I don't know what happened there. Okay. All right. So no, I said the reason why I said Goodfellas is because it's more Ray Liotta's movie than Robert De Niro's movie. So Goodfellas is my number 3.
Yeah.
Even though that pains me because that's my favorite movie. So my favorite De Niro movie.
I mean, luckily all the chat actually agreed with you about Goodfellas at 3 as well. So,
okay.
But
that was weird.
We go to write down a number 1 instead of number 2, just because. Yeah.
Okay.
It's all good.
That has never happened before. Okay.
But Dan, what do you have for number one?
Based on his performance, it's clearly Raging Bull.
Chad.
This was hard as hell, dude. But overall I went best movie. I think Godfather Part 2.
Stephen.
Yeah, Godfather Part 2.
Jonathan.
It's gonna get hard for you, Malcolm. I put Raging Bull because of best performance in the movie.
I mean, it's actually easy for me because out of these two, I've seen one of them. Godfather Part 2.
Okay. All right. Okay, no, it's still a great movie. I mean, yeah.
Top 2. 3,
Interesting.
dude. This is a great list.
I actually like this list a lot. Man, I really wanted to swap analyze this with a Bronx Tale. God.
No, I'm not going to I'm the one that pulled up and watched this.
But with that, we have reached the end. I'm going to recap the list. At 12, we've got Analyze This. At 11, we've got Jackie Brown. There we are. At 10, we've got Cape Fear. At 9, we've got Meet the Parents. At 8, we've got Casino. At 7, we've got The Untouchables. At 6, we've got King of Comedy. At 5, we've got Heat. At 4, we've got Taxi Driver. At 3, we've got Goodfellas. At 2, we've got Raging Bull. And at number 1, we've got The Godfather Part 2. All in all, it's a fun list. I will have a poll up on the Take 3 page shortly with the options that will be happening for next week. Dan, where can people find you on the interwebs?
You can find me under my name, Dan Skip Allen, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. Also, I'm a film critic in the Orlando area. I write for a website called disappointmentmedia.com. Don't at me. I didn't come up with the name. I just write for them. I'm doing a weekly Mandalorian review right now. I'm in the process of doing the Small Axe films from Steve McQueen. Plus, I'm doing all kinds of different, I do retrospectives. If somebody dies, I'll do something. I just did an Untouchables for Sean Connery. I do a couple YouTube shows. One is kind of on a hiatus right now called Top 5 Weekly. The other is called Bleacher Features, where myself and a guest discuss a sports film. That's a summer series, so it's going to get going next summer, season 3. So if you want to be on, just message me and tell me a film you would like to discuss, and we'll get you on the list and we'll discuss it.
Chad, where can people find you online?
Oh man, I'm definitely not as active as Dan there, but sometimes I do trivia. I haven't been doing much lately. I've been actually talking about the wife about potentially starting like some sort of horror podcast. So we'll see. We don't really know what we're doing, but we'll see what that is. I try to rank stuff or like rate movies and stuff on Letterboxd. I try to be active with that. Chadwick Webb. So if you want to follow me, or I'll follow you back, whatever. Yeah, and I love doing rank 'em. So I'm on a lot of these shows, or at least a few of them. So I'll definitely try to get on as many rank 'ems as I can. So.
Stephen, where can people find you online?
Facebook, Twitter. I think my handle on Twitter is Stephen A. Shepard. Instagram. I'm on Letterboxd as well. I think you can just search my name, but I think I go by S Shepard 82. Yep, that's it.
Jonathan, where can people find you online?
I'm on numerous social media platforms. Letterboxd, Cinecaro, CINE_CARO. Twitter, John Carroll 4. Also on Instagram. Facebook, I'm a little bit active, not as much. And I'm on YouTube under my real name, not Johnny Conway, Jonathan Carroll. So I sometimes react to Schmodown matches, and you can also catch me on some matches too.
But yeah, you can find me on Full Metal Classic every Sundays. Jonathan will be on it this week. I also host Full Metal Random over on the Full Metal channel, and this week's match is Jim Carrey movies, which is going to be Ryan O'Regan up against Chase Geyer versus JD West. And you can find me over on Take 3. I host Late Night Take 3, which is kind of on a hiatus at the moment as well. I will probably try to get one more episode in before the end of the year, but we'll see. It's a lot busy around this time of year. And Rankin, I'll have the poll up for next week in a bit. And Dan, you've got something else to say?
Yeah, Malcolm and I are both. I'm not as frequent as Malcolm, but Malcolm's on more than me. Gone with the Wind is an awards show that a friend of ours named Franks does, and if you want all the awards coverage, I highly recommend Gone with the Wind. I was on one episode a couple episodes back. I'm sure I'll be on again in the future, but these guys really do a good job with awards coverage.
Yep. But with that being said, we've reached the end. But keep listening, shit.